Hey, what's up? This is Acronym Blazer here. In 2015, the first collaborative Nike and Acronym shoe, the Lunar Force 1, came out and was initially pretty divisive thanks to the large zip that was added to the side, but is now widely considered a classic. Skipping past several other releases, most of which we've covered on this channel, we arrive in 2022 with the Nike and Acronym Blazer. Like many of the shoes before it, it's a pretty wild transformation on the original model with a bunch of creative additions which have already proven fairly polarizing. This is a brand I'm fairly familiar with at this point, so we're going to talk sizing, comfort, aesthetics, how they look on feet, all of these kinds of things, but also how they fit into the brand's ethos and what makes this shoe interesting. So hopefully you'll come away, even if you don't like the shoe, at least being able to appreciate them. These come in two colorways, black and night maroon, retailing at $140 or £125. Are they something you should put on the cop list? Let's find out. The unboxing experience is the first thing that's going to tip you off that this is not a run-of-the-mill collab, but a more high-effort one. Dramatically redesigned box, including an all-over graphic print and an Acronym logo type designed by longtime collaborator David Rudnick, which, thanks to these brushstroke-like shapes, are reminiscent of traditional Chinese characters. Considering the martial arts theme presented in the accompanying clothing collection, this makes sense and is something we'll talk about in a separate video. Inside the box and under this themed paper, you have the shoes themselves, but a few other goodies as well. 2 replacement TPU heel blocks, contrast coloured laces, an extra set of screws, a dog tag, and a little instruction card. Great to have any collab sneaker like this which includes more than your typical package, and clearly attention has been paid to making this a cool overall package. But what is all this stuff for exactly? Check out the back of these shoes. The plastic heel cage is designed to be swappable, so on the maroon colorway, you've got black pre-attached and a laser crimson one in the box, and on the black colorway, you have both a lemon venom, a bit of a tongue twister, and olive aura that you can switch between. My black pair is still on the way, so we've just got the maroons to look at physically for now, but clearly Acronym have taken a leaf out of Pokemon's book because you're gonna have to pick up both colorways if you want to catch them all with respect to heel block color customization. The dog tag, which actually ships attached to the shoe, is actually used to unscrew this heel cage at the back. I think this is a really cool idea, having an in-box tool for doing something like this, and it's something you can conceivably attach to a bag or a belt or whatever, just for a bit of cool extra flavor. You'll probably want to remove it from the shoe because it rattles around when you walk and it's a bit annoying. In practice, however, the dog tag doesn't actually work super well. Now, obviously, it's not a screwdriver, so it's not going to work as well as one, but it's specifically because of these top screws here. They're sunk quite deep into the plastic, so even using the corner of the dog tag, it's pretty difficult to get any purchase on these, and I really found myself having to bend the heel cage to kind of lever these out. So I wouldn't even bother with that personally, just use a screwdriver and consider the dog tag a fun piece of merch that you can attach to something else. Glad they included spare screws as well, because even switching these to crimson and back left these screws noticeably damaged from me trying to get at them with the dog tag. In all likelihood, this is the kind of thing where you'll pick your favorite color and then pretty much stick with it rather than trying to rotate back and forth all the time. On this colorway, I prefer the black so far, but when the black ones show up, I might actually use the lemon venom ones from those and try these on here, and then use the black cage on the black pair, see how that looks. But let me know if you've got a color preference on these. Tracksuit's off, it's getting far too warm in here. It might not work perfectly, but this alone is pretty cool functionality, being able to customize part of the shoe to your color preference. Few releases or collaborations really attempt something like this, but we're only scratching the surface of what is possible here. This cage is 3D printable, so you can download the base files, download other people's, make your own, customize them, and print them. German retailer Soulbox had a bunch of creatives down for the launch event to get them to come up with a bunch of their own designs, so we've already seen some really cool iterations and ideas as to what you can do here, and that is only going to increase with time, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what people manage to come up with to modify and customize this shoe. Already someone's conceptualized a Death Stranding heel cage, so really the sky's the limit with what you could achieve with this. I think it's awesome that what Acronym have done here is not just design a product you can buy, but a platform for creativity. It's empowering people to make something their own, and for people who do have the drive and the capability to engage with this feature, well, they're going to get more out of this release than pretty much any other that I can think of. That alone is definitely worth commending, and it gives this shoe some great long-term appeal. I personally like this cage inclusion, and you should like the video if you're enjoying it so far. It's like a type of reinforcement, and it gives a pretty neutral or classic shoe a much more aggressive finish. But I appreciate not everyone is going to like this bolted on aesthetic, particularly if you don't like seeing a classic shape altered. But aside from letting you go sicko mode with your 3D printer, what exactly is the point of these? Well, a lot of people might recognize the similarity between these and the undercover daybreaks, and they did indeed serve as conscious inspiration for this shoe. Actually, I've got a pair, one sec. Acronym co-founder Errolson Hugh noted that these were originally intended to collapse at the back, making it more easy to get your foot in. And even though they had to cancel that due to patent issues, the structure that this provides still made it easier to get your foot in. Not to provide assistance to people with reduced motor function, but to provide lazy people a quick and easy way to get into this shoe. From my experience, while these aren't quite step in and walk away, the extra structure provided here does mean that you can stamp your heel down fairly hard without the back of the shoe collapsing, so it does make it a little bit quicker and easier. Similarly, taking them off as well, you can easily step on the other shoe to kind of lever them off, or just grab them and pull them, and the heel just doesn't really deform. So again, makes it easier. In true Acronym fashion, it's not just about looks. This feature does actually have functionality in mind. One of the more contentious parts of this shoe's design you'll find all over the upper. It looks like it's been shredded, leaving these cutout sections to give this kind of 3D effect, and you can see a contrast color appearing underneath them there. These aren't just random, they use negative space to form the Acronym Shuriken logo in a few key locations. You'll see this same effect applied to the clothing collection as well. Again, something we'll talk about in a separate video. It's inspired though by ghillie camouflage, which is a kind of textural disruption designed to prevent you being able to fully see the wearer's physical form. Acronym is a brand no stranger to recontextualization of military elements, and here they're using that to provide extra depth and color contrast and more interesting details to the upper of a shoe which traditionally is fairly plain. Up close, I do think you can gain more appreciation for these elements. On the maroon colorway with the suede, these cuts are really nice and sharp, and as I have worn them, the cutouts do seem to have lifted up a little bit quite nicely. Do note that the black colorway actually uses ballistic nylon instead of suede, so there's a clear difference there, and potentially that'll affect what happens to this shoe over time. On a shoe with so much complexity at the back, it does make sense to have something quite disruptive that goes over the rest of the upper as well to kind of balance that out a little bit more. And I do like how it affects the overall silhouette of the shoe somewhat. However, you only need to look back at their version of the Match Classic that they conceptualized in 2017 and talked about in a recent Complex article to see this implementation is significantly pared back versus the original idea. I wonder if there were concerns about the level of integrity of the upper with a greater level of distressing or something, because comparing to that previous version and compared to the clothing collection, the ghillie effect on these is really fairly rudimentary. Maybe heavier distressing would have been a more true representation of the vision, because in its current form it almost looks too deliberate to represent ghillie camouflage too effectively. A lot of people have said that they would prefer this shoe without all of this ghillie effect cutouts here. I would love to see what it looked like if they had more. With all these changes, it's easy to forget that these are a Nike blazer, a model so common in skate culture that I guess these are a skate shoe, right?
Yeah! That was quite good until that bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. While you might assume Acronym are a brand exclusively concerned with futuristic ninja cosplay, particularly with their last two releases being the Vapor Max and Presto respectively, they actually use a wide variety of sneakers in their product photography, which suggests to me that the brand envisions you using whatever kind of shoe speaks to you alongside their clothing. A classic shape like this as well, I think also fits the overall fashion landscape in 2022 a little bit better than those more overtly futuristic models, and it does seem like Nike have been pushing the blazer a little bit more recently with a few different new colorways and variations. Using the blazer has some great upsides aside from you being able to bring Acronym drip to the skate park. It's a timeless style and a model that I think looks pretty nice. Okay, they're not quite as wearable in this new Acronym iteration, but they're starting from something relatively effortless. Perhaps more importantly though, price. I think you are getting a lot of shoe for your $140 or £125, especially when we're comparing to previous releases which came in significantly more expensive than these did. The downside is that in my opinion these are the the least comfortable Acronym shoe to date. The vulcanized sole here is relatively rudimentary. It doesn't have any of that named Nike Zoom or Air or React tech in there. I've also found that the collar is not particularly comfortable. I think because of that fly ease tech, it's relatively structured along the top here, which means that it's liable to dig into your ankle a bit. It's not all bad though. The standard foam tongue and the lacing system means that you can get a fairly adjustable fit, and across the upper it does fit fairly well. These are a bit of a narrow shoe though. I went true to size on these and I think that they're just about okay. If you've got wide feet though, you could definitely consider going half a size up. The black pair that are on the way, those are half a size up for me, so I will be able to compare true to size versus half a size up. I will leave a comment with some of my thoughts on that. Another benefit of the Blazer though is durability. Vulcanized sole, suede upper, I mean they've added the plastic heel clip here. A lot of this is, you know, it's not going to fall apart very quickly. This is a shoe that I think will do quite well when worn fairly heavily. It's just not something that you have to baby, and for that I think is going to be a significant advantage for some people. So much to talk about, and we haven't even got to the specific colorways yet. Although people associate techwear and by extension Acronym with all black or military palettes, it's actually not super surprising to see them come out with something like this. They always include very bright or neon colors in their sneaker releases. They also very rarely do the same thing twice. Obviously, I've got the maroon here. Black were released at fewer retailers, so maybe a little bit harder to come by, but I'm actually leaning towards the maroon being my preference at this stage, not just because of the nice suede upper, but the interplay of all these various colors is just super cool to me. The bright hits of neon versus contrasting dark maroon is the kind of thing that on first glance is like, this is too much, but if you kind of sit down and look at them for 30 seconds or so, something in your brain just kind of makes everything start to make sense. You have to anticipate though that for a lot of people taking a glance at these, they're probably not going to like them, they're not going to get them, they're going to think they're ugly, so you really have to buy something like this on the assurance that you like them and you think they're cool, not because you're going to get universal approval from wearing them. The black colorway does present some alternative to that, but even then the olive aura accents are quite unusual and there's still a very real risk of the shoes wearing you. You might notice Acronym releases generally come in 3 colorways, whereas there's only 2 here. There was a third one, but it was cancelled. At this stage, we don't seem to know what that third colorway was. But yeah, I'll happily take your guesses, because who knows, we could have seen something else which would have been even cooler than these. How to wear them though. You might assume, particularly with the maroon colorway, I'm going to tell you, just wear all black, let the shoes do the talking, that kind of thing. No, I'm going to suggest instead add some more colors to the mix, because I found with some nice relaxed green cargos, these actually look great. I think there's a very real risk of it looking like you're trying too hard wearing a shoe like this that's so bold and has so many different colors, and wearing something that's quite kind of muted and quite relaxed that just kind of falls over the shoe, even though these are quite slim, just feels mega effortless to me and helps you get the best out of them. That said, you could just wear stuff that is so loud that you forget about the shoes altogether. To me, this is a great example of what a collab should be, bringing Acronym's unique, utility-focused design process to a sportswear classic, in a way that Nike would never do themselves. At the same time, they're introducing their fans to something different that they might not currently be wearing. The inspiration from the Undercover Daybreak is pretty obvious, yes, but I think a lot has been done to differentiate those two shoes and provide a totally new direction with these. And what's more, they give a huge creative potential to the user and the community as well. Although they're not as comfy as the Presto or the VaporMax, the price point puts them in the realm of affordability for far more people and allows them to gain some experience with the Acronym brand. However, I also think collabs are an opportunity to evangelize a wider audience of general sneaker buyers to your brand. And Acronym are just not the type of designers to create a safe shoe with a mass market in mind. The colorways, the cutouts, the cage at the back are going to leave a lot of people scratching their heads, but those people that do have the conviction to give these a go are probably going to enjoy quite an interesting and an innovative sneaker. I know I will. Thanks for checking out the in-depth look at the Acronym Blazer. Love to know what you think of these down there in the comments. Did I change your opinion about these at all? And even if you don't like them, can you at least appreciate these for some of the interesting things that they bring to the table? Let me know down there. Let me know if you're interested in checking out the clothing in a different video as well. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. It is super appreciated. It really helps out. And thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Shout out to Nicholas. And shout out to Rex, good point, definitely worth washing weird chemical stuff before you put it on. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch them all, there's going to be links going up at the top, and if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely consider doing so. We've got some Nike and Acronym clothing on the way if you guys want to see that. We've got some affordable techwear jackets as well. We've got some cargos, whole bunch of stuff. Stay tuned, coming soon.